For too long, the true history of humanity has been shrouded, certain discoveries locked away or ignored by conventional academia. Tonight, we gently pull back the veil on a civilization that existed an astounding 97,000 years ago. So sit back, relax, and let your mind drift into the echoes of a forgotten world. Imagine, if you will, a world utterly different from our own. A world where the very timeline of human achievement, etched so carefully in our history books, crumbles into dust. We are asked to consider a radical premise: that highly complex human civilization thrived not just a few thousand years ago, but almost 100 millennia before our known history begins. This isn't just a theory. It's a whisper from the deep past, an anomaly so profound it challenges the bedrock of everything we think we know about ourselves. Envision cities, technologies, and cultures flourishing in an epoch we currently believe was populated only by nomadic hunter-gatherers, struggling for survival against a harsh, untamed Earth. The sheer scale of 97,000 years is almost impossible for the human mind to grasp. It's not just a long time, it is a chasm of time, separating us from an era so ancient that even the Ice Age was still a distant future. This idea forces us to confront a silent, unsettling question. What if humanity's story began not with crude tools and campfires, but with an advanced society, lost to the relentless march of ages and global catastrophes? What if, before the dawn of agriculture, before the very first mud brick was laid for the first known city, another chapter of human brilliance unfolded and then vanished? The implications are vast, suggesting a forgotten golden age, a level of sophistication we are only now beginning to fathom was possible in such a distant past. This is the heart of our mystery, a civilization not just old but impossibly, breathtakingly ancient. Our mainstream understanding of human development paints a clear picture. The accepted timeline for complex civilization begins relatively recently, only about 6,000 to 10,000 years ago. Historians and archaeologists generally agree that humanity emerged from primitive hunter-gatherer societies around the end of the last ice age. This period, known as the Neolithic Revolution, saw the birth of agriculture. Humans learned to cultivate crops and domesticate animals, leading to settled communities rather than constant migration. These early villages then grew into larger towns, and eventually, the first city-states appeared in Mesopotamia, around places like Sumer and Akkad. We speak of the glory of ancient Egypt, with its monumental pyramids and sophisticated writing, or the intricate cities of the Indus Valley. These cultures developed writing systems, complex social structures, monumental architecture, and the very foundations of science and art. It's a progression that seems logical, a steady climb from rudimentary existence to organized society. Our textbooks teach us that before this period, humans lived in small, scattered groups, their primary focus being survival, not grand civil engineering or advanced scientific thought. Archaeological digs consistently unearth evidence supporting this narrative: pottery fragments, stone tools, early agricultural implements, and the gradual evolution of construction techniques. This is the timeline that makes sense to us, built on decades of painstaking research and a wealth of tangible artifacts. It's a comfortable story, one that explains our origins and journey in a neat, linear fashion, making modern civilization the pinnacle of a long, arduous climb from primitive beginnings. But there's a problem with this neatly constructed timeline: a nagging inconsistency, a persistent whisper from the past that refuses to be silenced. For all the carefully categorized archaeological finds and meticulously dated historical events, there are enigmatic clues, faint echoes, that hint at something far older, something that challenges our fundamental understanding of human development. These aren't just minor discrepancies. They are outliers that refuse to fit into the conventional narrative. They are the shadows at the edge of the known timeline, difficult to reconcile with the established progression from primitive to sophisticated. What if some discoveries have been overlooked, dismissed as anomalies, simply because they do not fit the accepted framework? Consider the profound implications of an object or a structure dating back not just thousands, but tens of thousands of years, displaying a level of craftsmanship or knowledge that should not exist in that period. These are the clues that create a profound curiosity gap, suggesting that perhaps our understanding of prehistory is incomplete, built upon an incomplete set of facts. The but moment arises when we realize that the evidence for a simpler past isn't always as watertight as we believe, and the strange, unexplainable elements often point towards a different, far more ancient truth. These inconsistencies force us to ask if we've been looking at the puzzle with the wrong pieces, or if some crucial pieces have been deliberately or accidentally forgotten. This brings us to alternative theories, ideas that dare to venture beyond the accepted boundaries. Some researchers believe these inconsistencies are not errors, but deliberate breadcrumbs left by a pre-cataclysmic civilization. The concept suggests that highly advanced societies may have risen and fallen many times throughout Earth's long history, with each cycle potentially ending in a global cataclysm. What if 97,000 years ago, such a civilization thrived, perhaps reaching technological or spiritual heights we can only dream of today? This wasn't necessarily a civilization like our own, with fossil fuel-driven industry, but perhaps one that understood energy, consciousness, and engineering in ways we are only rediscovering. Theories range from societies that mastered esoteric sciences to those with a profound understanding of the Earth's energies. Could it be that this civilization was not just regional, but spanned the entire globe, connecting distant lands with shared knowledge and purpose? The idea suggests that this ancient society was not simply primitive, but possessed a different kind of advancement, perhaps one more harmonized with natural laws, or even employing technologies we would consider fantastical today. This advanced society, for reasons we can only guess at, was then obliterated and largely erased from memory by a global event so catastrophic it reshaped the planet. Think of it, not a localized disaster, but an event of such immense scale that it could wipe clean the slate of history, submerging cities, eroding mountains, and scattering the remnants of a once-proud culture into the deepest corners of the earth and the most obscure crevices of human memory. It's a challenging thought, a paradigm shift that suggests history is not a linear progression, but a cycle of rise and fall, of forgotten golden ages and subsequent periods of rebuilding and rediscovery. If such a complex civilization did indeed exist almost 100,000 years ago, and if it was as advanced as these alternative theories suggest, a profound question remains. How could such a society simply vanish, leaving barely a whisper in the annals of official history? What kind of cataclysm could be so complete, so utterly devastating, that it could erase almost all trace of its existence, leaving only the faintest, most enigmatic clues for us to ponder? It challenges our understanding of preservation, of memory, and of the Earth's own capacity to hide its secrets. The sheer scale of destruction required to utterly obliterate a global civilization from the historical record is almost unfathomable. What force could achieve such a feat, transforming bustling cities into unrecognizable geological formations, sophisticated tools into mere rocks, and advanced knowledge into forgotten myths? This question hangs heavy in the air, a profound enigma that invites us to look deeper, to search not just for what we expect to find, but for what the earth itself might be struggling to tell us. Perhaps the whispers are there, not in forgotten scrolls, but in the very ground beneath our feet. For scattered across the globe, buried deep within Earth's ancient layers, are objects that should not exist. They are artifacts that challenge everything we believe about when humanity began and what it was capable of. These are the out-of-place artifacts, or OOP arts, as some call them, silent witnesses to a history far stranger than we imagine. Consider the Klerksdorp spheres found in South Africa. Imagine small, perfectly formed metallic balls, some round, some slightly flattened, often with three parallel grooves running around their equator. They are hard, made of a nickel-steel alloy or even solid goethite. These spheres are dug out of a pyrophyllite deposit, a mineral rock formed billions of years ago. We are talking about rocks dated to an astonishing 2.8 to 3.1 billion years old. To find such precise, almost machined objects within such ancient stone is, quite simply, baffling. Some of these spheres are so perfectly balanced that if placed on a flat surface, they will spin on their own axis before returning to their original position, like tiny, ancient gyroscopes. Others have been found with a fibrous substance inside, almost like the remnants of organic material, encased within their metallic shell. Mainstream geology offers a straightforward explanation. These are concretions. Concretions are natural geological formations where minerals clump together, growing outwards from a central core. They can form into spherical shapes over millions of years due to various chemical and physical processes within sedimentary rock. The grooves, some geologists suggest, could be the result of a process called septarian nodule formation, where internal cracks develop and fill with other minerals, or even just pressure solution seams from metamorphism. For mainstream science, the Klerksdorp spheres are fascinating natural curiosities, not evidence of ancient craftsmanship. They are simply nature's way of creating intriguing shapes. But there's a persistent problem with this easy dismissal. The sheer geometric precision of many of these spheres is difficult to reconcile with purely natural processes. While nature can create spheres, the consistent, almost perfect equatorial grooves found on many of the Klerksdorp objects seem too uniform, too deliberate. If these were simply concretions, why would so many display such identical, almost ornamental features? And what about the reported internal fibrous material found in some of them, sealed within solid rock formed billions of years ago? Natural concretions don't typically encapsulate organic fibers in this manner. Furthermore, the very composition of some of these spheres, identified as nickel steel, a material not commonly found in natural formations of this type, adds another layer of perplexity. They don't quite fit the mold of typical concretions, even extraordinary ones. The regularity and consistency across hundreds of specimens challenge the idea that these are merely random geological accidents. Could it be that these small, metallic wonders are not natural at all? Some researchers believe they are something far more incredible, remnants of an impossibly ancient technology. Perhaps they were ball bearings from a forgotten machine, or decorative elements from a civilization that existed when Earth itself was unimaginably young. The idea suggests a level of metallurgical sophistication that defies our current understanding of primitive Earth. Could the fibrous material be the residue of some ancient internal mechanism, long since degraded but preserved in outline? What if these spheres were part of a larger, more complex system, of which only these robust, indestructible components have survived the crushing weight of geological time? They hint at a world where intelligent hands crafted objects from metal, performing tasks we can only guess at. In an epoch when official history states only single-celled life existed. If the Klerksdorp spheres are indeed artifacts, then they force us to confront an astonishing possibility. We are looking at evidence of a civilization so ancient, so utterly beyond our accepted timeline, that it pushes the very definition of human history. Are these isolated oddities, or are they compelling pieces of a much larger, suppressed puzzle waiting to be reassembled? The enigma of metallic objects embedded within coal seems further deepens this puzzle. Coal, as we understand it, forms over millions of years from compressed organic matter. It's a natural time capsule. But imagine miners, deep within these ancient seams, unearthing objects that simply do not belong. There are numerous accounts, stretching back to the 19th century, of small manufactured items being found. A metallic vase, intricately worked with silver inlay, reportedly found in solid rock at Dorchester, Massachusetts in 1851, hundreds of millions of years old. A tiny gold chain, perfectly crafted, discovered fused within a lump of coal in Illinois in 1891, dating back possibly hundreds of millions of years. Even an iron pot was found within a large block of coal in Oklahoma in 1912. These aren't crude stone tools. They are refined, crafted pieces, suggesting a knowledge of metallurgy and design. The mainstream scientific community typically dismisses such claims. The common explanation is that these are cases of saltation, where modern objects fall into cracks or fissures in the rock, becoming superficially embedded. Or they are simply misidentified natural formations, or outright hoaxes. The complexity and age of the coal seams are too vast for human presence, the argument goes. Therefore, any object found must be either a natural mineral formation mistaken for an artifact, or a modern intrusion. The academic consensus is firm. Humanity simply did not exist during the Carboniferous or Cretaceous periods when these coal seams formed. But the sheer number and consistency of these reports, combined with specific details, make such easy dismissals problematic. Many accounts describe the objects as being completely encased within the coal, not merely lying in a fissure. In some cases, the coal itself had to be broken apart to reveal the artifact. This suggests the object was present before the coal fully formed and solidified around it, implying an age comparable to the coal itself. A gold chain, delicate yet intricate, or a vase with elaborate inlay, are not natural geological formations. They bear undeniable hallmarks of intelligent design. The specific composition of the metals, often pure or alloyed in ways that suggest processing, further challenges the natural formation theory. These aren't crude nuggets, they are finished products. Could these be the forgotten tools, jewelry, or even decorative items of an incredibly ancient civilization? If these objects truly are as old as the coal they are found in, then we are looking at evidence of intelligent beings existing tens or even hundreds of millions of years ago. This pushes the timeline of complex life, let alone advanced civilization, to unimaginable depths. Some speculate that these are remnants of a technologically adept society that mined and processed materials long before our recorded history even begins. Perhaps they were miners themselves, leaving their tools behind in ancient geological epochs. Or perhaps these items are evidence of a repeated cycle of civilization, where advanced societies rise and fall, leaving only durable, buried fragments as their legacy. The metallic objects found in coal seems whisper of an epoch when intelligence might have shaped the earth in ways we cannot comprehend. Who forged these items? What lives did they lead? What function did these intricate pieces serve in a world we believe was utterly devoid of human presence? These are not just scientific anomalies, they are profound existential questions. Moving beyond artifacts, we encounter another category of deeply unsettling evidence. Human-like footprints found in geological strata tens of millions of years old. Perhaps the most famous, or infamous, are the supposed human footprints found alongside dinosaur tracks in the Paluxy riverbed near Glen Rose, Texas. Here, in Cretaceous limestone dated to approximately 113 million years ago, clear dinosaur footprints are undeniably present. But some researchers claim to have found elongated, bipedal prints, remarkably similar to human footprints, interspersed within these same ancient layers. Imagine a scenario where humans walked alongside dinosaurs, a notion utterly rejected by conventional paleontology. The mainstream explanation is quick and decisive. These are not human footprints. Geologists and paleontologists argue that the supposed human tracks are either misinterpretations of partially eroded dinosaur tracks, which, under certain conditions, can resemble elongated feet, or they might be natural erosional features in the rock that have been mistaken for tracks. Another common explanation is that some of these man tracks are simply hoaxed carvings, or animal tracks from creatures other than dinosaurs that just happen to look vaguely human-like. The scientific consensus is unwavering. Humans and dinosaurs did not coexist. Our species evolved millions of years after the last dinosaurs perished. But the details surrounding some of these alleged human tracks are not so easily dismissed. Some reported prints display clear anatomical features consistent with a human foot, a recognizable arch, a heel, and distinct toe impressions, including a prominent big toe. They show a consistent stride pattern, indicative of bipedal locomotion. Furthermore, some researchers have meticulously documented instances where these human-like prints appear to cross asterisk or asterisk overlap with dinosaur tracks, suggesting contemporaneity. If these were merely erosional features or misidentified dinosaur prints, would they consistently exhibit such a regular, bipedal pattern and occasionally intermingle with the clear dinosaur prints? The sheer conviction of some highly credentialed individuals who have studied these sites in detail, using techniques like ground-penetrating radar, suggests there might be more to these claims than simple misidentification or hoax. What if these ancient footprints are exactly what they appear to be? The impressions of human-like beings walking on Earth millions of years ago. Alternative theories suggest several possibilities. Could these be the tracks of an incredibly early, unknown hominid species, predating anything currently in our evolutionary tree by vast spans? This would require a radical reevaluation of human evolution, pushing our origins back tens, if not hundreds, of millions of years. Or, perhaps more controversially, could these footprints belong to the civilization we are exploring? A civilization whose presence on Earth was so profoundly ancient that they coexisted with creatures we believe to be from a distant past. This implies a cyclical view of history, where complex life forms, perhaps even intelligent ones, have appeared, flourished, and vanished multiple times over Earth's immense timeline. It challenges the linear progression of evolution that we typically accept. These footprints, whether from Paluxy or other disputed sites around the world, are more than just geological curiosities. They are ghost images of a past that refuses to conform to our textbooks. If intelligent, bipedal creatures left these marks millions of years ago, what does that tell us about the true age of sentience on our planet? Do these prints fundamentally challenge the entire timeline of human evolution, forcing us to rethink our origins from the ground up? The Klerksdorp spheres, the metallic artifacts in coal, and the ancient footprints are but a few examples of an entire category of evidence that seems to defy logic and mainstream explanation. Each one, in its own way, acts as a faint echo from a forgotten age. They present a consistent pattern of sophisticated items or biological presence where none should exist, according to our conventional understanding of Earth's history. These findings suggest that our planet might have witnessed multiple epochs of complex life, and perhaps even intelligence, long before the accepted dawn of human civilization. Are these truly isolated oddities, mere quirks of geology and interpretation, or are they compelling pieces of a much larger, suppressed puzzle waiting to be reassembled? Are they fragments of technology, tools, or remnants from an incredibly ancient, advanced civilization that predates known human history by vast epochs? The ground beneath us holds its secrets well, but sometimes, just sometimes, it offers a tantalizing glimpse into a deep past, whispering of a forgotten world that existed in an age beyond our wildest imaginings. Building on the enigmatic hints we've already explored, those whispers from the deep past that challenge our understanding of what's truly ancient, we turn our gaze now to another profound mystery. It's a tapestry woven through the very fabric of human storytelling. Across every continent, echoing through countless generations, a curious pattern emerges. From the sun-baked deserts of Mesopotamia to the frigid tundras of the Arctic, from the lush rainforests of the Amazon to the windswept islands of the Pacific, humanity shares a remarkably similar memory. This anomaly is the ubiquitous presence of universal flood myths, tales of a golden age abruptly ended, and descriptions of highly advanced pre-deluge civilizations. These aren't isolated anecdotes. They are foundational narratives in nearly every culture on Earth. The Sumerian epic of Gilgamesh speaks of a great flood and a righteous man named Utnapishtim who built an ark. Ancient Hindu texts, like the Matsya Purana, recount the story of Manu, warned by the fish avatar of Vishnu to build a boat and save humanity from a devastating deluge. The Cherokee people speak of a world drowned and then remade. The indigenous Australians have countless stories of a time when the waters rose and reshaped the land. From the Norse Ragnarok, which speaks of a cataclysmic winter and overwhelming floods, to the biblical account of Noah, the theme persists. It's a memory of global upheaval, of a world reset. But perhaps the most famous, and certainly the most detailed of these accounts comes from ancient Greece, Plato's description of Atlantis. In his dialogues, Timaeus and Critias Asterisk, Plato presents not a vague parable, but a surprisingly specific narrative. He tells of a powerful, technologically advanced empire located beyond the Pillars of Hercules. This Atlantean society possessed intricate canals, advanced metallurgy, grand cities, and a sophisticated government, thriving in a time of remarkable peace and prosperity, a veritable golden age. Plato explicitly states that this account was passed down from Egyptian priests to the Athenian statesman Solon, who then shared it with his descendants. Critias, one of the characters in Plato's dialogue, claimed to have heard the story directly from his grandfather. Plato describes Atlantis not as a mere island, but as a vast continent-spanning power, exerting influence over many lands. He details its architecture, its social structure, its impressive naval capabilities, and ultimately, its moral decay. He paints a picture of a civilization that became corrupt, arrogant, and eventually faced a devastating divine judgment. Atlantis, Plato writes, sank into the sea in a single day and night of unheard-of earthquakes and floods. He even offers a time frame, stating these events occurred 9,000 years before his own time, which would place the destruction of Atlantis around 9,600 BCE. This date, though ancient, is still well within the conventional historical timeline for the rise of human civilization. But it's the asterisk description of the civilization itself that truly intrigues. A complex, global power with advanced capabilities, far beyond what archaeologists typically attribute to that era. For many within mainstream academia, these narratives are largely regarded as allegorical. Scholars often explain flood myths as cultural memories of localized, severe flooding events, common in river valleys where early civilizations emerged. A great river overflowing its banks, they suggest, could certainly feel like the end of the world to those affected, giving rise to stories of a global deluge. Plato's Atlantis, in this view, is a philosophical allegory, a cautionary tale invented to illustrate his ideas about ideal societies and the dangers of hubris. It's a literary device, a work of fiction, perhaps inspired by real-world events like the eruption of Thera, Santorini, which devastated Minoan civilization, but not a literal historical record of a lost continent or an advanced global empire. Tales of a golden age are often seen as nostalgic yearnings for a simpler, purer past, rather than a recollection of a materially prosperous one. The remarkable similarities across cultures are sometimes attributed to diffusion, the spread of stories from one region to another, or to the common human experience of natural disasters and the universal archetypes of storytelling. The academic consensus holds that complex, globally interconnected civilizations simply did not exist tens of thousands of years ago. Human development was a gradual, linear progression from simple hunter-gatherer societies to the first city-states just a few millennia ago. But there's a problem with this conventional explanation. The sheer asterisk, ubiquity asterisk, and asterisk remarkable commonalities in these disparate myths, the descriptions of complex, pre-deluge societies, the sudden and catastrophic destruction, the vivid memory of a lost paradise, a world somehow better before the cataclysm, defy easy dismissal as mere localized floods or allegories. If these were simply localized flood accounts, why do cultures separated by vast oceans and continents, with no known historical contact, share such specific narrative elements? Why do they speak of highly developed cultures that were swept away, not just simple villages? The depth of detail in Plato's Atlantis, for instance, far exceeds what one might expect from a purely invented moral fable. His specific dates and geographical markers, while perhaps inaccurate in their precise translation or interpretation over millennia, hint at something more substantial than mere fiction. These shared themes suggest a common, unimaginably ancient origin, a collective human memory stretching back far beyond written history, to a time when humanity experienced something truly profound and globally transformative. Some researchers believe that these myths are not allegories or localized memories, but rather echoes of a genuine collective human memory. They suggest that these stories are fragments, passed down through countless generations, of a globally devastating event, a true cataclysm that wiped the slate clean for a truly ancient, perhaps even global, civilization. This would not be a localized flood, but a planetary upheaval that fundamentally reshaped the world and humanity's understanding of its place within it. The idea here is that a civilization, immensely sophisticated, potentially thriving for thousands of years, met an abrupt and violent end. Perhaps this ancient society, the very one we are attempting to remember, was centered in a specific geographical location, like Plato's Atlantis suggests, but its cultural or technological reach was global. Its sudden destruction would have left an indelible scar on the collective psyche of the scattered survivors. These survivors, or their immediate descendants, would have carried the trauma and the memory of that lost world with them, embedding it into their most sacred stories and oral traditions. As these stories were passed down, perhaps across the very 97,000 years we are considering, they naturally morphed and adapted to local cultures and languages, but the core narrative remained. A great civilization, a global cataclysm, and a world utterly transformed. Could these myths, then, be more than mere stories? Could they be cultural time capsules, holding within them the faint but persistent memory of a reality far stranger and grander than our accepted history allows? Some theories even propose that the Golden Age, described in many myths, isn't just a spiritual ideal, but a literal description of a time of advanced technology, ecological harmony, and profound understanding that was utterly lost. The survivors, scattered and reduced to a primitive state, would have struggled for survival, carrying only the faintest glimmers of their former greatness. Over millennia, these glimmers would evolve into the myths and legends we know today, subtly guiding humanity towards a rediscovery of its own forgotten past. This perspective radically redefines not just our understanding of ancient history, but of human resilience and the enduring power of memory across epochs. If these ancient narratives contain even a kernel of truth, if they are, in fact, distorted but real memories of a forgotten past, what kind of cataclysmic event could have inspired such enduring and widespread recollections? What planetary force, so overwhelming, so utterly destructive, could have wiped away an advanced civilization, leaving behind only these pervasive, haunting echoes in the form of myth and legend? The echoes of ancient narratives, tales of a world consumed by water and fire, persist across cultures, a shared memory of a profound loss. These stories, as we have seen, suggest not just localized deluges, but a global catastrophe. Such accounts compel us to look beyond the purely allegorical, to sift through the very earth beneath our feet for signs of a world violently reshaped. For here, the geological record itself begins to whisper of tremendous forces, of sudden shifts that defy our comfortable modern understanding of Earth's steady, slow evolution. We find evidence of cataclysms so vast they could rewrite coastlines, submerge vast landmasses, and fundamentally alter the planet's climate in the blink of a geological eye. What if these whispers from the deep past, these geological anomalies and climatological mysteries, point to a major, devastating event that swept over Earth around 97,000 years ago, erasing a civilization from the face of the planet? Mainstream science largely views Earth's history as a tapestry woven with gradual threads. Climate change, though a pressing concern today, is typically understood as a process unfolding over millennia. Geological shifts, the slow grinding of tectonic plates, the ebb and flow of ice ages, are generally presented as stately, measured progressions. Major floods in this conventional view are often localized events, perhaps catastrophic for a region, but not global in their reach, nor swift enough to annihilate a planetary civilization. The vast ice sheets of the last glacial maximum, for instance, are explained as taking tens of thousands of years to build and then, slowly, to retreat. The prevailing scientific consensus paints a picture of uniformitarianism, where the processes we observe today have largely operated at the same rates throughout deep time. The planet changes, yes, but almost imperceptibly from a human perspective, a slow, majestic dance of forces over eons. But this measured pace, this assumption of gradualism, faces a significant challenge when we look closer at certain geological formations and climatological data points. There is a growing body of evidence, sometimes subtle, sometimes stark, that hints at sudden, global-scale events, cataclysms far more profound than standard explanations typically allow, particularly for ancient periods. We find deposits of enormous, unsorted boulders, often hundreds of tons in weight, transported vast distances by an incomprehensible force, seemingly dropped by colossal waves or meltwater floods on a scale unimaginable today. These are not merely river deposits or glacial moraines. They speak of something far more violent and widespread. Consider the puzzling evidence of rapid sea level elevation. While ice ages are understood to cause fluctuations in sea level, some data suggests periods of incredibly swift rise, not merely meters over centuries, but potentially tens of meters in very short spans of time. This kind of rapid change could inundate entire continents, not just coastlines, leaving little time for preparation or escape. Imagine a world where the very land beneath your feet could be swallowed by an angry ocean in a matter of days or weeks. There are also deep-sea sediment cores that reveal layers of mixed debris, jumbled sediments, and microfossils from vastly different ages, all deposited together in ways that defy gradual accumulation. These layers suggest massive, turbid flows, perhaps triggered by submarine landslides on an unprecedented scale, or by something impacting the oceans with immense force. Such events would generate megatsunamis, colossal walls of water that could sweep across continents, leaving behind a signature of destruction unlike anything we comprehend today. What if these anomalies are not isolated curiosities, but pieces of a global puzzle, hinting at a singular, devastating event, or perhaps a series of rapid events, around 97,000 years ago? This would be a cataclysm that wasn't merely a localized flood or a slow ice advance, but a planetary upheaval capable of erasing all but the most resilient traces of a sophisticated civilization. Theories attempting to explain such a profound global cataclysm range from the terrifyingly familiar to the truly cosmic. Some researchers point to the possibility of a cometary impact. Imagine an object, perhaps kilometers wide, slamming into one of Earth's oceans. The immediate effects would be apocalyptic. A massive steam explosion, instantly vaporizing billions of tons of water, injecting vast quantities of dust and debris into the atmosphere, plunging the planet into a prolonged, crushing winter. The impact would trigger colossal megatsunamis, waves hundreds or even thousands of feet high, racing across all oceans, scouring continents clean of life and any structures built upon them. The ensuing atmospheric darkness, the acidic rain, and the radical climate shift would make sustained life incredibly difficult, potentially annihilating a global civilization that relied on specific environmental conditions. Then there is the possibility of supervolcanic eruptions. Earth has a violent past, punctuated by these colossal geological events. A supervolcano eruption, like that of Toba 74,000 years ago, can dwarf any eruption in recorded human history. Such an event would eject cubic miles of ash and aerosols into the stratosphere, blocking out sunlight for years, leading to a volcanic winter. Global temperatures would plummet, crops would fail, and ecosystems would collapse. While the Toba event is dated slightly after our 97,000-year window, it demonstrates Earth's capacity for such destructive power. What if an even larger, more widespread supervolcanic event, or a cluster of such events, occurred precisely when our forgotten civilization thrived? The geological record does show periods of heightened volcanic activity, and it's not impossible that such a global convulsion could have been the final, decisive blow. Perhaps the most enigmatic and controversial theory involves rapid pole shifts. This isn't about the gradual drift of the magnetic poles, which is a known phenomenon, but a sudden, violent reorientation of the entire Earth's crust relative to its rotational axis. Imagine the planet itself suddenly lurching, its outer shell sliding over its liquid core. Such a shift, theorized by some to be triggered by immense external forces like a passing celestial body or a massive imbalance in ice distribution, would cause unimaginable chaos. Continents would suddenly move to new climatic zones. Ice caps would melt instantly under tropical sun, unleashing unimaginable floods, and the friction generated would create widespread seismic activity and volcanism. An entire planet, suddenly, violently, reconfigured. Such a cataclysm would be so swift, so encompassing, that survival for any but the most prepared or geographically fortunate would be nearly impossible. These catastrophic models offer compelling explanations for the kind of profound, global destruction that could erase a civilization with minimal archaeological trace. The geological scars are there. Unexplained layers of debris, evidence of rapid climate shifts, and the pervasive memory of a great deluge. If these events did indeed occur with such intensity around 97,000 years ago, they paint a picture of a planet far more volatile and unpredictable than our modern understanding often allows. This brings us to a crucial, lingering question, one that resonates deeply when we consider the possibility of a civilization existing so far in our past. What kind of technological foresight or societal resilience would be necessary for a civilization to anticipate or even survive such an unimaginable global catastrophe? Could they have read the signs in the stars or the Earth itself? Did they possess advanced knowledge of planetary cycles, of cosmic threats, or of geological instability? And if they did, what measures could they have taken? Could they have built subterranean cities, established off-world colonies, or found a way to preserve their knowledge and their people through the long dark night of a planetary reset? These are not mere academic speculations, but profound questions that challenge the very limits of our imagination and our understanding of what a truly advanced, ancient civilization might have been capable of. The very earth beneath our feet, carved by cataclysm and time, holds secrets in its most monumental structures. After considering the scale of the global shifts that could have reshaped our world, we must ask, what physical traces, what architectural echoes, might such an ancient, pre-cataclysmic civilization have left behind? What cryptic structures stand as silent witnesses to a lost age, challenging every textbook truth? Journey with us now to some of the most perplexing sites on the planet. Locations where impossibly massive stones, cut with unimaginable precision, defy our understanding of ancient human capabilities. We begin in the serene, sun-baked plains of Baalbek in modern-day Lebanon. Here, nestled within a sprawling Roman temple complex, lie foundational stones that dwarf anything built by Rome, or indeed, any known civilization since. These are the stones of the trilithon, 3 blocks of limestone, each weighing over 750 tons. And nearby, in a quarry just a few miles away, rests an even larger block, the stone of the pregnant woman, weighing a staggering 1,200 tons. It lies partially cut from the bedrock, abandoned, a silent testament to an ambition or technology we cannot replicate today. These colossal blocks are placed with such exquisite precision, fitted so tightly, that a razor blade cannot be inserted between them. Mainstream archaeology attributes the grand temple complex at Baalbek to the Romans, a marvel of imperial engineering. They argue that the Romans, known for their architectural prowess, moved these gargantuan stones using a system of ramps, rollers, and an immense workforce. This theory posits that thousands of laborers, employing ingenious but conventional methods, painstakingly maneuvered these multi-hundred-ton stones into position over years, perhaps decades, of backbreaking effort. It is believed to be a testament to the sheer scale of Roman ambition and organization. But there is a profound problem with this explanation. No known Roman engineering feat comes close to moving stones of this unparalleled size and weight. The methods proposed, while theoretically possible for smaller blocks, become logistically impossible for stones weighing more than an entire train carriage, especially with the precision seen. Where are the archaeological records of the thousands of workers, the specialized tools, the ramps of unimaginable scale, or the vast infrastructure needed to quarry, transport, and perfectly place such monoliths? The Roman structures themselves are built on top of these older, impossibly massive foundations. It begs the question, were the Romans truly the original builders of these colossal base blocks, or did they merely appropriate and build upon an existing, far more ancient foundation, whose true creators and methods remain shrouded in deep time? The sheer weight, the impossible cuts, and the masterful placement suggest a level of engineering far beyond what the Roman Empire is credited with, or even capable of, using known technologies. Some researchers, building on the possibility of a pre-cataclysmic civilization, speculate that the Baalbek megaliths are direct remnants of a lost, advanced society, perhaps dating back to the very 97,000-year epoch we are exploring. These colossal stones could be the foundational remnants of a structure from that ancient world, a world where the laws of physics, as we understand them regarding ancient technology, seem to have been defied. Could these not be mere building blocks, but perhaps parts of a colossal energy system, or even a landing platform, designed for a technology far more sophisticated than anything in our historical records? Theories range from the use of sound levitation, as described in some ancient texts, to a forgotten understanding of anti-gravity principles, or even a form of geological engineering that allowed for the manipulation of stone at a molecular level, softening it for carving, and then rehardening it. Such ideas seem fantastic, but they offer solutions to construction mysteries that otherwise have no rational answer within our current historical paradigm. Perhaps the subsequent Roman builders simply found these immense foundations already in place, marveled at them, and integrated them into their own designs, unaware of their true, unimaginably ancient origin. The very silence of the stones whispers of a forgotten wisdom. If Baalbek forces us to rethink the scale of ancient engineering, then Puma Punku, high in the Bolivian Andes, challenges our understanding of precision and complex stonework. Here, amidst the ruins near Tiwanaku, lie scattered blocks of diorite and andesite, some weighing over 100 tons. But it is not just their size that baffles. It is their incredibly intricate cuts, the precise angles, and the near-perfect right angles that are replicated across countless interlocking blocks. These stones often feature complex H shapes, channels, and protrusions, clearly designed to interlock like a giant, sophisticated puzzle, creating structural integrity without mortar. The stone itself, diorite, is incredibly hard, almost as hard as diamond. Yet, it shows evidence of cuts and drill holes that would require industrial-grade diamond-tipped tools in our modern age. Many of the blocks exhibit a level of uniformity and symmetry that suggests mass production, or at least a highly standardized design process, not simple manual carving. Mainstream archaeology attributes Puma Punku to the Tiwanaku civilization, dating it to around 500–1000 AD. The generally accepted theory is that the Tiwanaku people, through extraordinary effort, sheer will, and ingenious techniques involving copper chisels and abrasive sand, carved and shaped these extremely hard stones. It is believed they developed advanced methods of measurement and design to achieve such remarkable precision, possibly using tools we have not yet fully identified or understood. The complexity is often explained as a testament to their deep cultural and spiritual connection to the cosmos, reflected in their architecture. But how could a civilization without the wheel, without iron tools, and without a written language, achieve such an astonishing level of stone masonry? The copper tools available to the Tiwanaku would have been far too soft to cut diorite and andesite with such surgical precision. Even with abrasive sand, achieving such perfect right angles, complex internal and external angles, and consistent, identical H shapes on a monumental scale, without a single measurement error, stretches the bounds of credibility. The smooth, almost polished surfaces, and the drill holes that appear as if made by modern machinery, defy any explanation using known Bronze Age technologies. It is as if these artisans possessed a knowledge of geometry and material science that somehow vanished from human memory. The sheer scale of the waste, of seemingly broken or discarded pieces that still exhibit impossible precision, further deepens the mystery. This suggests either a trial-and-error approach on an unimaginable scale, or perhaps the ruins of something far older that the Tiwanaku merely attempted to replicate or reuse. Could Puma Punku be another vestige, a surviving fragment of the 97,000-year-old civilization? Some researchers propose that the intricate stonework is evidence of a lost technology that allowed for the machining of stone. Perhaps they used advanced forms of sonic vibration to cut and shape rock, or even a form of focused energy that could melt and mold stone, then allow it to recrystallize into these perfectly interlocking forms. The H blocks, for instance, are sometimes theorized to be components of a larger functional system, perhaps related to water management, energy transmission, or even a complex interlocking defensive structure. If the 97,000-year-old civilization possessed such capabilities, then the Tiwanaku people may have stumbled upon these ruins millennia later, marveling at the impossible structures, and perhaps even beyond the monumental and the precise, we find other, more subtle, yet equally profound markers of an ancient, unknown intelligence. Impossibly precise astronomical alignments embedded in very old sites. Consider the Great Pyramids of Egypt. While often attributed to dynasties a few thousand years old, the precision with which they align to true north, their relationship to Orion's belt and other celestial markers, is astounding. The Great Pyramid of Giza, for example, is aligned to true north with an accuracy of 3 arc minutes, a precision that rivals modern surveying techniques. This is no mere coincidence. It speaks to a deep, sophisticated understanding of astronomy and geodesy. Mainstream Egyptology explains these alignments as the culmination of centuries of observational astronomy and religious belief. The ancient Egyptians, through careful, long-term observation of the night sky, coupled with rudimentary but effective tools like plumb bobs, sighting rods, and astronomical diagrams, were able to achieve these impressive alignments. This knowledge was meticulously gathered and applied by a highly organized society, driven by a profound spiritual connection to the cosmos and the pharaoh's divine right. The construction methods, involving ramps and sheer manpower, were combined with this astronomical knowledge to orient their grand monuments. But the sheer accuracy of these alignments, especially when considering the subtle wobble of the Earth's axis over millennia precession, challenges the idea of simple observational astronomy with basic tools. How could a civilization without accurate timekeeping, advanced mathematics, or sophisticated optics achieve such precise geodetic measurements? The pyramids, if their astronomical alignments are unrolled backward in time, seem to point to specific celestial configurations that occurred not just 4,500 years ago, but potentially much, much further back, hinting at a knowledge base passed down from an earlier, more advanced epoch. Furthermore, the Giza Plateau itself shows signs of water erosion that some geologists argue could only have occurred during periods of significant rainfall, far predating the established dynastic periods. This suggests the site, or at least elements of it, might be considerably older than currently accepted. Could these astronomical alignments be a coded message, a stellar timestamp left by the 97,000-year-old civilization? Some researchers suggest that the advanced understanding of precession, celestial mechanics, and deep time embedded in these alignments points to a culture that tracked cosmic cycles over vast periods. Perhaps they were not just observers, but active participants in understanding the Earth's relationship to the galaxy, recognizing cyclical cataclysms and the rise and fall of civilizations. These monuments could be giant celestial clocks, designed to endure through millennia, their true purpose to transmit a message about the timing of cosmic events to future generations. The pyramids in this view might be more than tombs or temples. They could be vast astronomical observatories, geodetic markers, or even power generators, built by a society far more ancient and knowledgeable than we currently admit. The idea that these structures were reappropriated is also strong here. Later civilizations, understanding fragments of the celestial significance, built anew on existing, older, highly aligned foundations, inheriting a tradition whose true origins they no longer fully grasped. Let us briefly consider the baffling alignments found in various ancient sites around the world, from the Nazca lines that seem to point to specific constellations, to the precise orientation of some early Mesoamerican pyramids with solstices and equinoxes, to the intricate layout of sites like Stonehenge, which functioned as sophisticated astronomical calendars. While many of these are attributed to known ancient cultures, the consistency and complexity of the astronomical knowledge often exceed what we imagine they possessed. The idea that all these disparate cultures independently developed such similar, high-level astronomical understandings at relatively early stages of their development is a remarkable coincidence. Mainstream theory attributes this widespread astronomical knowledge to the universal human impulse to understand the cosmos. Agriculture depended on understanding seasons, navigation on stars, and religious beliefs were deeply intertwined with celestial bodies. Over time, through diligent observation and the building of simple observatories, these cultures gradually accrued the knowledge to align their structures. The apparent complexity is often seen as a testament to human ingenuity in the face of limited technology. But what if these widespread, sophisticated astronomical understandings are not entirely independent inventions, but rather echoes of a shared, ancient heritage? What if the seeds of this knowledge, perhaps even fragments of advanced observational data, were passed down through various surviving groups after the global cataclysm that ended the 97,000-year civilization? These survivors, or their immediate descendants, could have carried fundamental astronomical principles, encoded in myths or oral traditions, which later cultures then rediscovered and applied to their own monumental constructions. This would explain the uncanny parallels in cosmological understanding across continents and cultures, suggesting a common root rather than entirely separate evolution. The very placement of certain structures to capture specific celestial events, even if their precise dating is debated, speaks to a deep, almost instinctual understanding of the sky, a legacy perhaps from those who once mapped the heavens with astounding accuracy. The cumulative weight of these megalithic puzzles and impossibly precise alignments forces us to confront a startling possibility. If these ancient monuments are indeed echoes of a lost golden age, what forgotten wisdom or advanced engineering principles did their true builders possess that we have yet to rediscover? Could the very fabric of our understanding of history be missing an entire, magnificent chapter, locked away in stone? The impossible cuts and precision engineering of ancient megalithic sites, the sheer scale of their construction defying conventional understanding, leave us with a lingering question. If these monuments are echoes of a lost golden age, what forgotten wisdom or advanced engineering principles did their true builders possess that we have yet to rediscover? This question leads us down a quieter, more secretive path, one whispered in hushed tones through the ages. Across the globe, in forgotten libraries and remote mountain villages, among secret societies and indigenous elders, there exist claims of an immensely ancient past, of knowledge passed down through select lineages. These aren't simply folktales. They are intricate oral traditions, sacred texts, and esoteric teachings that speak of pre-cataclysmic epochs, advanced beings, and a sophisticated civilization that thrived long before what we call history. They suggest that profound truths about humanity's origins and capabilities are not lost, but carefully guarded, hidden in plain sight, or locked away in the memory of those initiated into ancient schools. We hear of Rosicrucians, of certain strands of Freemasonry, of Gnostic sects, and of diverse indigenous peoples like the Hopi or the Dogon, all holding pieces of a much older narrative than academic history allows. Their stories often detail not only the existence of a high culture at the dawn of time, but also its catastrophic end, and the subsequent efforts to preserve crucial information for future generations. From a mainstream academic perspective, these traditions are generally viewed as mystical belief systems, philosophical schools, or later spiritual developments. Scholars often interpret them as allegorical narratives, products of cultural imagination, or perhaps the historical memory of localized events, rather than literal accounts of extreme antiquity. The intricate symbolism within esoteric texts is seen as a means of exploring spiritual truths, not as a coded map to a forgotten past. Indigenous oral histories, while valued for their cultural significance, are often analyzed through an anthropological lens, with their claims of immense timelines frequently dismissed as mythical stretching of actual, more recent history, or as a reflection of spiritual rather than factual timelines. There is, for the most part, no direct historical basis or empirical proof accepted by conventional history for these traditions to represent a continuum of knowledge stretching back 97,000 years. The historical record, as understood, simply does not support such claims, and therefore, these narratives remain outside the realm of accepted historical fact, relegated to the domain of philosophy, religion, or folklore. But there is a problem with this dismissive explanation. The striking consistency of certain themes across geographically separate and culturally diverse esoteric traditions is truly baffling. How do ancient Egyptian mysteries, Vedic texts from India, Native American prophecies, and the teachings of obscure European secret societies all echo similar concepts? They speak of grand cycles of time, of ages of enlightenment followed by catastrophic destruction, of advanced tutors or shining ones who seeded knowledge, and of a profound fall or decline in human consciousness and capability. These aren't vague similarities. They are coherent, often detailed accounts that describe sophisticated astronomical knowledge, an understanding of Earth's cyclical cataclysms, and even advanced technologies that seemingly predate any known civilization. This remarkable congruence suggests something more than independent invention or accidental coincidence. It hints at a shared, collective memory, an underlying source of information that transcended continents and millennia, passed down through channels less obvious than textbooks or archaeological digs. It implies that these disparate groups might be drawing from the same wellspring of forgotten knowledge, safeguarding fragments of a truly ancient, global legacy. Could it be that, following a devastating global cataclysm some 97,000 years ago, small pockets of survivors, or their direct descendants, undertook the monumental task of preserving fragments of their advanced knowledge and technology? What if these survivors, recognizing humanity's cyclical nature of progress and self-destruction, formed secret schools or orders, becoming the guardians of ancient knowledge? Some researchers believe that these groups deliberately encoded their wisdom into myths, symbols, rituals, and the very architecture of sacred sites, ensuring its survival while also protecting it from those who might misuse it. Perhaps these early guardians understood that humanity, after such a traumatic regression, would need to slowly re-evolve its consciousness before it could safely handle the profound truths of its deep past. They might have established lineages of initiates, entrusted with oral traditions and esoteric practices, ensuring that the flame of ancient wisdom never fully extinguished. The legends of hidden libraries beneath the sands of Egypt, of lost cities in the Amazon, or of secluded monastic orders in the Himalayas are not just fanciful tales to some. They are seen as potential clues to places where this knowledge is physically or spiritually maintained. Theories range from a global network of enlightened masters who subtly guided later civilizations, to more direct interventions where teachers periodically emerged to reintroduce forgotten sciences or spiritual principles. What if certain sacred sites, rather than being mere places of worship, are actually memory banks or energetic portals, designed to awaken specific knowledge in those attuned to their frequencies? The very structure of some secret societies, with their degrees of initiation and hidden doctrines, mirrors a path of gradually unveiled truths, suggesting that a profound secret lies at its core. It's a challenging idea, one that asks us to look beyond the surface of history and consider that a hidden curriculum has been taught, generation after generation, by those who remember a time when humanity was far more advanced. This knowledge, some believe, is not for everyone, but for a specific time and a specific level of human readiness. The lingering question, then, is truly profound. Could the true, deep history of humanity be carefully guarded by those who understand the cyclical nature of time and cataclysm? And if so, are these patient watchers, these custodians of forgotten ages, perhaps even waiting for a specific moment to reveal themselves and their incredible legacy to a world that may finally be ready to listen? As we journey through these echoes of a forgotten past, guided by ancient whispers and the silent testimony of stone, we confront a profound truth. If the guardians of ancient knowledge truly exist, and their wisdom points to a civilization thriving 97,000 years ago, then our entire understanding of human history unravels. This radical idea demands a complete re-evaluation, not just of when civilization began, but of what humanity is truly capable of. The conventional timeline of human development paints a clear picture. It tells us that agriculture emerged relatively recently, only about 10,000 years ago, leading to the first villages and then the early city-states. This accepted narrative suggests a slow, steady climb from primitive hunter-gatherers to the complex societies we know today. Academia, with its structured methodologies and reliance on quantifiable evidence, finds it incredibly difficult to embrace any theory that asks it to dismantle centuries of established understanding. The implications are simply too vast, too disruptive, without a mountain of conventional hard evidence to back them. Such a shift would mean rewriting textbooks, redefining archaeology, and re-examining every single assumption about our species' journey. But the quiet hum of anomalies persists. The cumulative weight of out-of-place artifacts, geological evidence that defies easy explanation, the striking commonalities in global flood myths, and the inexplicably precise construction of ancient megalithic sites all combine to form a tapestry of doubt. These are not isolated curiosities. They are consistent, nagging threads pulling at the fabric of our accepted history. The stories passed down through oral traditions, carefully guarded by esoteric schools, also suggest a deep, sophisticated past. Together, they compel us to confront the possibility that our current understanding of human origins and progress is fundamentally incomplete. We are asked to consider that perhaps the true narrative is far grander, far older, and infinitely more mysterious than we have ever dared to imagine. This opens a door to deep speculation about the very nature of this lost civilization. What could their technology have been like? If they existed 97,000 years ago, it's unlikely they developed industrial machines as we understand them, leaving mountains of steel or plastic. Some researchers believe their advancement might have taken a very different path. Could they have mastered principles we are only beginning to glimpse, such as energy fields, sound frequencies, or even consciousness itself, to manipulate matter? Theories range from harnessing the Earth's natural energies to understanding the subtle vibrations of existence. Perhaps their technology was so integrated with the natural world that its remnants would be indistinguishable from natural formations, or simply beyond our current capacity to recognize as engineered. Could they have understood the properties of crystals or water in ways that allowed for construction or communication we cannot fathom? The impossible cuts and levitation suggested by some ancient structures hint at a command over physics that far exceeds brute force. Then there is the question of their societal structure and spiritual understanding. If this truly was a golden age, as many ancient myths suggest, what does that imply about how they lived? Mainstream archaeology often paints early human societies as struggling, often violent, and driven by basic survival. But what if this ancient civilization had transcended such struggles? Alternative theories propose a society deeply connected to its environment, living in harmony, and perhaps even telepathically linked. Some believe their spiritual understanding was profound, seeing the universe not as a collection of separate objects, but as a unified living system. They might have valued inner wisdom, ecological balance, and collective well-being above material accumulation, leading to a kind of utopian existence. Could their advanced state have been measured not by towering cities or complex machinery, but by their profound understanding of life, consciousness, and the cosmos? What if their progress was inward rather than outward? The existence of such a civilization 97,000 years ago also forces us to consider a radically different trajectory for human development. Instead of a linear climb from savagery to sophistication, perhaps humanity experiences vast, cyclical patterns of rise and fall. Mainstream thought generally sees human history as a continuous, albeit sometimes bumpy, upward progression. But the consistent themes of global cataclysms and subsequent restarts in ancient myths, coupled with the hints of forgotten knowledge passed down through generations, challenge this linear view. What if our present age is not the pinnacle, but merely one point in a much longer, repeating cycle? Alternative theories suggest that this lost civilization might represent a path where advanced intelligence was perfectly paired with profound sustainability or spiritual enlightenment, allowing them to thrive for incredibly long periods. Could they have achieved a level of integration with the planet and each other that allowed for an enduring peace and wisdom? only to be undone by a force beyond their control, or perhaps even by a choice. These deep speculations lead us to the most unsettling and perhaps the most exciting question of all. If we could truly unlock the secrets of a civilization from 97,000 years ago, if we could decipher their technology, understand their societal structures, and grasp their spiritual wisdom, would we be ready for what we might find? Would humanity, in its current state, be prepared to confront evidence that reshapes our entire identity, challenges our scientific paradigms, and perhaps even reveals a blueprint for a more harmonious, sustainable existence? And what timeless lessons could this lost golden age hold for our own fragile future, as we stand at the precipice of our own challenges, perhaps repeating ancient patterns we have forgotten?